Okay, so I'm here now with my animation file. It's not fully animated, but for this exercise is enough. So I have my character here doing his animation sequence. This is the file that was never shaded. So this file is different from the file that was going to be rendered with Arnold. And in this file, I have if you look at it, is my character and the environment, making sure my character has to be touching the ground because of course we want to have it contacting. Turn on my grid so I can see my object having a good contact there. And this file has, we said it before, two references. One of them is the environment that I'm using for as a placeholder so that I can animate my character matching all of those different contacts that is gonna have to do with the ground and for you guys to make it go on its spot. Of course, those blocks, which will be the ones that will give you your position. When you animate it, you might have want to hide them or something, just making sure that your toe is going to be animated in the right spot. So here I'm going to go and I'm done with my animation, so I'm going to just remove the toy store placeholder. I'm going to simply reference this and right click on it and then say file, um, reference, remove reference. So I'm going to just get rid of it, remove the reference. So my file it's finished. And in terms of referencing, and I'm going to do this one. I'm going to actually just change the name a little bit. I'm going to just simply just call it row R name. This is kind of like the prefix that gets added to the name before it changes the name here. So that makes it a bit faster for me to read it. And then we're going to just simply right click on it. I'm going to say file, import objects from reference. That way my robot is not a reference anymore. My original rig was is untouched. It's a different file now. This one is completely independent from that, so I cannot go back and re-reference or modify my rig. And I'm going to now just save this file as a new file, just robot animation. I'm going to just call it robot animation um, final here. That way I know this is my final file. I'm going to save it there. These are Maya files still. And you got to make sure that there's nothing else but your rig character that is animated. So I'm going to press shift on my keyboard, open up everything. And so I can see there is nothing else but my robot, and he's still animated. So you can see his animation going on there. And I am going to now do a little process here. Of course, this is one model. I'm going to do a little process here. Let me just turn off on the UV editor, turn off the checkered. My UV editor is not showing up here. I'm going to have to live with the checkers for now. So let me see if I can just fit 5 here. I'm just turning them out like that. So I'm going to, you see that I have some jagged faces, and I want to avoid some of those jagged faces, and I know that Unreal is going to do some of that jagged faces. We are not going to use a high-res model for this. We're going to keep it as low-res as it is, but we're going to apply a strategy that uses an algorithm to make the smooth or the smoother surface a bit smoother and the sharp edges a bit sharper. So I'm gonna go here under the model menu set. I'm gonna go here under mesh display, and here I'm going to change the way the normals are connected. So you can harden them all if you need to have everything jagged, soften them all if you want everything to be jagged. In this case, I want soften and harden edges. That way it will do it. Oh, I'm gonna have to just to because I'm not getting the window showing here on this screen. So let me try to adjust that, because that one I need to look at. So let me just try to correct that. Okay, I had to go back and delete my preferences, close Maya, open it again, and reset my project. But here we are again. So I have my file and my model. I'm gonna go mesh display, soften harden. I'm gonna open it up, and you see that here says what is the method and the angle that is want to use. And what it says is um, there is a threshold 30 degrees. So whenever there is a minimum of 30 degrees in between two faces, it'll sharpen them. Otherwise, it'll keep them smooth. So for example, between this plane and this plane here, there is an angle that will need to be sharpened. So it's gonna try to go beyond that distance, and let's see how that. So I'm gonna try keep it 30 degrees now to look at it. So when I say soft and hard, I'm gonna apply simply just to see it here, and that does soften. It has a little bit of weird spotting in certain places here. It's a little bit odd. You can play with your model a bit more to get, but it tries to soften some of those faces in these places, and it tries to harden some of the sharp corners. I'm gonna undo that. I'm gonna test a different value just to see what it does. I'm gonna say that the value that I wanted to use, I'm gonna be even smaller value. I'm gonna go keep 15 degrees. I'm gonna apply that. So that you see that here it kept some of the difference between the angles here is smaller, so that kept some of the sharpness here. So of course 30 is not 15 degrees is not the value that I want to go with. I'm gonna I'm gonna crank it up to 45, see what it does. And 45, it's a little bit better, not perfect. It's keeping in mind that the difference is more. Let me try one more time. I'm gonna undo this. Just go a little bit higher to see. I'm gonna go to 90 degrees. So whenever there is an angle that's 90 degrees or more in difference, it sharpens it, but it kind of loses some of the detail here. On the wheel works fine, on the body is sort of okay. So I'm gonna just undo this. I'm gonna keep it at 45 degrees. So you can play with yours. It won't be perfect, but and those shaded little things that you're showing here, they won't show up like that in the game. It's just a suggestion here. The texturing in there will cover some of those gaps, and of course the normal map and some of the additional details that we painted in Substance will take care of most of those little details. So now this guy has been softened so that my game engine can look at it the best way possible. And again, we're trying to keep a low res version because the model in the game has to be as light as possible. Now I'm ready to export. So let me open up again all my rig and my geometry. I have nothing else by that. I'm gonna select all of it, right? I have just selected. I'm not selecting cameras. I'm not selecting anything else. I'm going to export the selection. I'm gonna open that up here, and here I'm going to say, okay, this is going to be an FBX. Oh, before I do that, let me cancel 1 second. I was missing one little thing here, and that is that I want to keep the frame range here to what the maximum of my sequence is. So in this case, he comes here, he gets up and turns around. So I'm gonna just give it like 144 frames. If yours is longer, of course, you wanna open up your time range. I'm gonna say 150 frames there. That's my maximum there. That way I'm conscious of how long I need to export it out. How long is it? Okay, let's try again. Everything is selected. File, export selection, and then I'm going to change my options to FBX export. Remember, if your FBX plugin is not turned on, you need to go to your plugin manager, which is Window, Settings and Preferences, Plugin Manager, and you just turn on your FBX export. And here I'm going to say I'm going to just make sure that my window here on the side has all the settings that I have, that I want here. And I am going to make sure that all of this is fine. Default history channels of that. Smoothing groups and smooth mesh is good. But in this time I need to check on animation, because I'm going to make sure that my animation is included. And I'm going to say bake animation means it's going to put keyframes on every single frame for every single joint that is selected. I'm going to just say export it out starting at 1, ending at 150 by one step, meaning every frame. What's going to export is skins, blend shapes. I don't have any blend shapes, but that's fine. And I'm going to just keep the rest of it as it is. I don't have textures on it, so I don't worry about any of that. No cameras, no lights. I don't have any media in it, meaning I don't need to export anything in terms of media, in terms of textures. So I'm going to just keep it the way it is. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to call it here robot animation. Actually, let me use the naming convention that we said the project will have. We said it's going to be SP22 underscore Gomez underscore animation toy dot FBX, right? Correct that. So the FBX will be added to it. I'm gonna just export that, and that it's giving me the place where it saved it. Let me go and look for that. So I believe it saved it right here. And if I'm on a PC, I can go and double click on it, and my 3D viewer allows me to look at it. Right now I don't see it, but it's somewhere there, because of course he's using a different placement. You can see here they're animated. There's ways for us to look at, different angles. I think you can look at the top view you want. I think that's it. And you can zoom out and you should see it somewhere there, hopefully. Or if not, you can just simply try to stay on the preset angles and try to find it there. I saw it, so I'm not too worried now that there he is again. So I can see my animation doing, and it seems that he is doing he needs to be doing. No missing parts. I cannot really see him closely, but I see that all my animation is there. This animation, by the way, was made at 24 frames per second, and I'm exporting it out as 24 frames per second. That should be fine. My game engine will read it as is, and it should work correctly. All right, so with this, I am ready to move on to bring this to Unreal and connect it there, which we're gonna do in the next video.